thinking about all of that and, wanting to stick to the rules, bring back traditions, is there like one that's really a pet peeve of you guys, whether it's as a team or just individual thinking?
One?
If I have to put you on the spot and narrow it down.
God, I honestly, I don't think that I can narrow it down. I think that if I had to pick one, I think that a lot of the tag teams think it's okay for their partner to come in anytime they want and just start beating up the other guy, and they stay in the ring for 30 seconds. That's not a tag team match. That's when it becomes a four-way match. When you've got all four of the guys standing in the ring together and just doing a whole bunch of stuff. That's not a tag team match. You have rules. At one time, the partner had one legal save you could use. And then as time went on, I remember in the mid-90s that in WCW you had two saves. You could use two saves for your opponent. That's the only time you could come and actually touch the legal guy if you're illegal. So I think that's my number one pet peeve.
I think I'm going to have to go with the same thing, either the saves or just the illegal coming in on a whim and punching the legal right in front of the ref's face and it being okay, because that defeats the entire purpose of tag team wrestling. How are you going to keep one of the baby faces isolated and in your corner and put on legitimate heat if the other teammate can come in and just start kicking ass whenever he feels like it? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're going to cheat or if you're going to have the other partner come in, do it in a way that it doesn't bury the tag team rules, it doesn't bury the referee, and it doesn't just make a mockery out of tag team wrestling as a whole.
Do you guys feel like this, and you see it a lot in TV, but it's bleeding more into wrestling, like this whole shades of gray or who's the villain take where, you already said the Lucha Bros are almost like a polar opposite, and you guys think, tradition is the right way. They think their way is the right way. Do you think that creates a more interesting dynamic instead of having a designated babyface and a designated heel?
I don't know if I believe in quote unquote baby faces and heels. I don't know. Before anybody is a baby face, before anybody is a heel, at least for myself and Cash, we're men. Okay. We're men, and you're either going to like us or you're not going to like us. And, I think it attributes to your personality and your traits. And your character traits, and you got to build on those character traits. Ultimately, I think that getting emotionally invested is the way you make the most money, the way you draw the most fans, the way you draw the most viewers, is getting emotionally invested. And to have, you have someone, you have one set of guys or one individual fighting another set of guys or another individual, and there's a conflict of interest. And the fans are going to choose what side they believe in and what side that they want to be on. And I think that's where we're at in the world right now. I don't think great matches, quote-unquote great matches every week, are the answer to pro wrestling and how to make money. I think, like I said, there's a conflict of interest, and the fans are going to decide in their mind who is the good guy and who is the quote-unquote bad guy.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, like you said, it might not be baby faces and heels per se. It's not that cut and dry anymore. Things do evolve. Things have changed. But there needs to be a protagonist and there needs to be an antagonist. There has to be something, anything for the fans to latch onto emotionally and really get invested. Like I used the analogy the other day during an interview that I don't want the fans to only do the car crash pop in a match where they're only reacting because it looks so brutal and looks like we're killing each other, because we probably are. I want it to be the one where they're on the edge of their seat and they can't look away because they're so enthralled with what's going on and the story being told, and they're that invested in it that they're just in awe. That's what I think makes wrestling special, is when there's that little bit of emotional attachment that takes everything to a whole new level.
Keeping it in the conversation about old school tradition, you wouldn't normally think Taz ECW is traditional because of the whole extreme environment, but what do you guys think about bringing back the FTW title?
Obviously, it's something very important to Taz. It's very important to, whatever you believe. It's important to history of wrestling. And for Taz, who is, one of the greats and a guy who, if you look back at it, he really changed the whole landscape of professional wrestling. He changed the industry. And he was part of, a big part of the Attitude Era and what they represented. So for him to take his FTW championship and christen Brian Cage as the new FTW championship, I think that helps put Brian Cage over and puts him in a category that he maybe couldn't have got in without Taz christening him.
Yeah, I mean, you see how important it was back when it first got brought out and awarded to Taz, and it's kind of comparable now to if you watch UFC. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal had the fight for the BMF title, the Bad Mother, Shut Your Mouth. And it's not a real championship. It's not actually recognized, but it signifies something extremely important, and the fans love it, and they get behind it, and they invest in the guys, and they did that with Taz. And I think now it's just the picture of it, just what it means to him passing that torch to Brian Cage. Like Dak said, it brings Cage to a whole different level than he was before.
And I think the good thing out of all of it is it's paying tribute to the past. It's Taz's own title. And I talked to Cody last year, and the way he put it was legends done right. And I think this is another example of that, where, more to your guys' point, it means something to Taz. It meant something to ECW. And now it's putting that rub on Cage that nobody else could have done. And I think it elevates him even more that quickly.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Yep.
So you guys have been new to the Dynamite scene. You're a couple months in, and I don't think you were too shy about wanting to leave WWE or, preparing for the future. So in saying that, you got your release in April, showed up a few weeks later, but, how much planning did you put into your entrance that we just saw now? Like, you worked with Matt Kuhn on your theme song. You have the pickup truck, pulling right up to the arena. Did a lot of that change between, when you started planning for the future and what we see in the final product?
Yeah, we never really had like a set idea in mind for what we wanted to do. We just knew that we wanted to spread our wings, I guess, so to speak. We wanted to go out in the world and test ourselves and try to reignite something that we felt like was kind of lost there for a little bit. And with AEW, when we finally, kind of figured out that, this is actually going to happen, this is where we're going to really show up here, that was all kind of spur of the moment type stuff. So there wasn't, I don't know if there was a whole lot of thought really put into it beforehand. It was just something that we once we had the ideas rolling, it just all kind of like it snowballed to the point where, this could be cool, or this could be cool. Let's try this. And it just kind of, you saw the final product, which we were very happy with. We thought it turned out really well, but there wasn't like a long-term plan in place there. No.
So in contrast to exactly what Cash just said, I'd been thinking about it for a very long time. I had ideas of what I wanted to do when we left, I had ideas of what we wanted to do when we left. But whenever I saw AEW, the Dynamite show premiere, I immediately started thinking of how we could debut. My initial idea was we were going to do ATVs, because I love riding four-wheelers. I love, taking four-wheelers. My mom used to have a big hunting camp, and they had acres and acres of land, and I loved doing that. So that was my initial idea. And then I became infatuated with Broncos, and so I started talking to Cash about that, and he loves classic cars. So I said, okay, well then maybe let's do a classic truck. That's something in between a Bronco and the classic car. And so I'd kind of been putting, ideas in my phone, my notes. So I had kind of a plan. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and I study it maybe more than anybody else in the world, to the point where it's almost disgusting. But just like Cash said, we had an idea of what we wanted to do. We want to leave a legacy in professional wrestling. We love money, obviously. We love money. And we love what professional wrestling has given us monetarily. But we wanted to leave a legacy more importantly than anything. Wrestling is my first love, and I wanted to do something special for it before I actually left.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick, like we are always planning ahead. It doesn't matter how far ahead it is or if it's years down the line or if it's next week. There's always plans, always ideas. We're always texting back and forth saying, what about this? What about this? And it doesn't matter if it's even like conceivable at this point. Like there might be things that we're not even able to do for who knows how long, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop us from being ready when it does happen. And like Dak said, he wanted the ATVs, and I thought that was cool. And then we had the idea. Like, I was watching an Eddie match. Big surprise, watching Los Guerreros, and I'm a huge Eddie fan. I love Eddie. I think he's one of the best all-around wrestlers in history, hands down. And so I always thought his lowrider entrance, or just every week he had a different car. I thought it was amazing. So when, like I said, we kind of spitballed back and forth a little bit and settled on the truck because it's a little bit of an ode to everything that we like, and that's how we decided on it.
You've had interactions with quite a few different teams so far: Butcher and Blade, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page. Last week we saw, there was issues with the beer, which we can get to, but everybody's been waiting for something with the Young Bucks, and you guys put out those tweets not too long ago. Now it's a few years, but one day we'll wrestle. Remember the tweet. And you guys have almost stayed away from each other to a point. So, what do you think about not feuding with them immediately? And, you're taking an unexpected approach to your debut and, not going right to that match.
I think, me and Cash, we left the WWE because we want to take our future in our hands. Which is, I guess, the biggest reason we decided. And not that we call the shots or anything, but that's why we talked to Tony, and we only got a handshake deal because we want to be able to go where we want to go, travel where we want to travel, and work where we want to work, because we have, like I said, a legacy to leave and a point to prove. And with the Young Bucks, we're going to get there. We will get there. Obviously, it's got to happen. I'm going to say this as humbly as I possibly can. There aren't very many dream matches left in professional wrestling, and I really believe that the Young Bucks and FTR is a dream match, and it's a dream match that will deliver. But right now, our most important goal is to prove, what we've been saying for the last 6 years, that we're the absolute best tag team on this planet. And to be able to do that, we've got to work with all these guys. And we've got to, rack up championships and rack up wins and rack up great matches. And I think right now with AEW Dynamite, we're 3 for 3 as far as bangers go. Yeah, we're on a roll right now as far as great matches go. The match with the Bucks will happen. There's not a set feud. It's not, that to me is so passe. But it's going to happen. But it will happen on our time and Tony Khan's time, and we think it's the right opportunity. But right now, we've got a lot more to prove than just having this quote-unquote dream match that everybody's been, hoping for.
Yeah, we talked about it just a second ago, but Dax and I, we're always planning. We're always thinking ahead. We're always 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And, for a long time, we weren't in control of our careers and our future. And now we are. Now we're in control of everything we get to do, when we get to do it. And so it's going to be on our time now. Like, we're in no hurry. We've waited this long. We'll wait as long as we want now, because it can happen at any moment. If really, in reality, if you look at it, it could happen this week, next week, whenever we feel like it. But we're in no hurry. We want to take our time. Like you said, we want to prove ourselves all over again, because everything we did the past 5-6 years, it means nothing now. We're not going to rest on our laurels. We're not going to rest on the fact that we tore the house down at NXT and we had match of the year here, match of the year there, this match, that match. It's all in the past, and our lives started over again May 27th of this year. And from that day forward, we're going to do everything we can to go out there night after night, dynamite after dynamite, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and show the world why we are exactly what we say we are, and that is the best tag team walking the planet.
In saying that, and I'll get you guys out on this one, if people aren't very familiar with your work, say, they're Lapsed fans that just started watching Dynamite, or, you just really want to point out a match from your career, whether it's WWE, NXT, or now AEW, like, do you have a match that you would recommend that somebody puts on that really exemplifies who you guys are as a team? Or to another point, is there a match that maybe from the past that you really take inspiration from?
For me, I'll let Cash speak for himself. I don't think there's one match that encompasses, that we've had that encompasses our style. I think this past Wednesday at Fighter Fest, I think we proved that we can hang with some of the indie guys that like to go out there and do their super kicks and their flips. And then I think the first week of Dynamite, we showed that we could take some guys like Butcher and the Blade who haven't been featured that much and have a kick-ass killer match. And then we can go out there with guys like American Alpha, who are so athletically superior to anybody I've ever met in the ring. And we can redefine look at tag team wrestling from before 2016, okay? And then you look at tag team wrestling after 2016. I'm speaking specifically on mainstream tag team wrestling. It was completely different. Before 2016, you had two guys going in there doing their individual stuff, hitting their individual moves, tagging in and out, just to get their own stuff in. And then 2016 rolled around, two 5'10" North Carolinians come in, and we changed the whole game with American Alpha, and we had a kick-ass, knockdown, drag-out tag team match in Dallas. And from that point on, tag team wrestling completely changed on the mainstream. Now, with me saying that after a shot of whiskey and 2 cups of coffee, I'll tell you that I think the one tag team match that maybe encompasses what tag team wrestling should be and what it can be now is the Midnight Express against the Fantastics from Chattanooga, Tennessee in 1988. It's so beautiful. 4 guys who are trying to outwork each other and who keep and cut a pace that not too many guys can keep up with. It's so beautiful, and it comes to a crescendo and to a peak, and they go home at the perfect opportunity. And that's me spewing my love for tag team wrestling, and I apologize, Cash, for taking all your words.
Oh, nope, go ahead, dude. Again, I can't single out a match either. I love the trilogy with American Alpha. I think the most overlooked match of that, and probably one of my favorites, was the American Alpha 2 out of 3 falls. And I think it's overlooked because even though it was a takeover match, and this is no offense to Full Sail, but it was held at Full Sail instead of one of the on the road before WrestleMania, before SummerSlam shows. So it's a smaller arena. It's a more intimate atmosphere. And like if you look at Brooklyn or Toronto, like those crowds are just off the charts all night. And so I think that added something, like a special element to the other matches. But as far as like in-ring work and all 4 guys just going and all 4 guys giving it every single thing they have, especially knowing that Dax could barely walk going through that because his knee was bothering him at that point.
Oh, that's another story.
His knee, yeah, just a little aside, his knee, like he ended up having surgery not long after this to get his knee cleaned out, but his knee locked up.
Real quick, Cash, I'll let you finish. But that was in July. I didn't have the surgery. They wouldn't let me have the surgery until October. And so go ahead. Sorry.
So his knee locked up maybe 3 minutes before the match, and we're all freaking out because he can't walk. And by the grace of God, like with the last minute Hail Mary, his knee, like the bone chip that was locking it up, moved out, and he was able to get through the match. But to watch the match back, you would have no idea that he was a one-legged man minutes before that. And that's one of the matches where I'm so proud of it, and I wish that it got more love than it does, because we all poured our hearts into it. Obviously, I like the DIY stuff. The tag match where we won the titles on Raw for the first time from Gable and Bobby, another one of my favorites. Yeah. And as far as like just old school matches that I think are the epitome of tag team wrestling, there's one between the Andersons and Rock and Roll in '86. I think it's part of the Starrcade tour.
Yep.
It's 25, 26 minutes, and man, it is a masterpiece. The Andersons show you exactly how to just isolate and pick somebody apart. Of course,
Our good
Ricky.
friend Stone Cold Steve Austin sent us that match.
That's true. Yep. And Ricky obviously does his thing, sells better than almost anybody in the world ever did. Robert comes in, and just the last couple of minutes of that match is, it's so beautiful to watch. So if you can watch the Andersons versus Rock and Roll from '86, can't remember the exact month, maybe July actually,
Yeah.
but that's a must watch.
FTR, you guys have a date with the Lucha Brothers. Fight for the Fallen this Wednesday on TNT. Thanks very much for your time, guys.
Hey man, thanks for having us.
No problem. Thank you.